how did your Duke experience influence your decision to be an author?
Honestly, Duke was really supportive. I don't know that this would have happened in another environment, because what ended up occurring was I knew this paper was coming out and I knew that people were interested in this problem. Throughout the South, throughout North Carolina, you say H.L. Hunley, there's a roughly 50% hit rate of people already knowing the story. So already, and based on the fact that someone was letting me come through his privately owned land and blow up live explosives while he really didn't know me, there's obvious enthusiasm for this. And I initially didn't know whether or not I wanted to write a book until the paper came out. But the reason Duke was super influential is because the second I said, hey, I need help, I had this huge team of Duke media professionals who just from day one had my back. And as an engineer, not a lot of media training it's not instinctive. And so they were willing to put me on camera for the first time and make me watch myself, which was a painful experience. Teach me the key things about giving quotes to journalists who are looking quotes. For example, keep your sentences short. And I think that was really influential in me having this experience in a way that turned out to be positive for me. I think without this Duke team, I might have been really traumatized by it, to be honest. But because they were so supportive and Duke was so set up to help its people, I was able to wade through all of that in a way that made me enjoy talking about this story and made me enjoy bringing this aspect of history to other people, and made me realize that, yeah, maybe a book would be pretty fun because I can then share it with other people.
That's fantastic. Are there any challenges you faced while writing this book? And if so, how did you overcome them on the way to publication?
I had a little bit of dumb luck with becoming an author. I don't think that my pathway is necessarily a normal one, but the lesson that I took from my success with getting a book deal was that talent is less important than having a story only you can tell. And I think I'm really unique in that the first agent that I emailed picked me up, and the first publisher that I talked to offered me a deal. And so I actually had 3 publishers to pick from, which is a very good problem to have. And again, I don't think that I'm necessarily anything special, but this was a story that only I could tell. And so I think that's more important than necessarily being good, is being lucky. So the roadblocks of publication for me were mostly learning to talk about myself. I was raised to think talking about yourself constantly is rude. And I still feel very embarrassed when I'm asked to do it, like in this environment. But, hopefully you guys find it slightly interesting. And I found that very uncomfortable. So that was something that I had to get over and realize that, yes, this book needed my voice in order for the testing story to make sense.
So what do you hope readers will gain from your book?
Honestly, my answer to that question now is different than what it was when I started writing it. When I started writing it, I really thought that my biggest hope for this book would just be to appeal to history people who had always been fascinated with the Hunley, and I didn't know how much of a reach it would have beyond that. But now, since it's come out, the people who have contacted me are not only those, and I love those conversations. Those are my people. But the other 2 groups of people that I did not expect to hear from that have been very emotionally powerful have been other graduate students or families of graduate students saying that this was the first time they understood what graduate students could be going through. So I had one father contact me and say that he had no idea why his daughter, who was in a PhD program, was so stressed, and reading my book made it click for him. And I got pretty emotional over that email. That was really powerful to me because I had a hard time communicating that with my parents as well. And the other group of people I did not expect to reach were military veterans. As soon as the book was published, there was an excerpt that was published in Smithsonian all of a sudden my inbox was full of emails from veterans who had blast trauma. And that was also really powerful. And what they were saying was that nobody had ever explained it to them before. So they'd been living with these traumas and they had never understood it. So yeah, now that's a whole other thing I didn't anticipate would come out of this, but I think that providing people these explanations and this relatable story that they're each finding something that affects their own life, that's my favorite thing for people to take from